All right, welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really powerful security technique called certificate pinning. Now, it sounds super technical, I know, but trust me, it's basically the hidden bodyguard that protects your most sensitive apps. And by the end of this, you'll get the clever trick it uses to keep your data locked down tight.
You know, we all see that little padlock icon in our browser, or we just assume our banking app is secure. It makes you feel safe, right? But what if that feeling of safety is built on a system that has a fundamental weakness? What if there's a tiny crack in that digital armor we all rely on?
And that's exactly where we need to begin, by looking at the limits of our standard, everyday security. Because, to build a stronger wall, you've got to know where the old one is already cracked. So the bedrock of our online security is this thing called SSL/TLS. And the way it works is that our devices, your phone, your laptop, they all come with this preloaded list of Trusted Certificate Authorities, or CAs. Think of them like the official passport offices of the internet. They're the ones issuing the digital credentials that prove a website is actually who it says it is.
Okay, now here's where it gets a little scary. This whole system, it all hinges on trusting those passport offices. But what happens if one of them gets hacked and starts handing out fake but technically valid passports? Or what if a hacker tricks you into installing a fraudulent authority on your own device? Well, all of a sudden, that secure, encrypted connection, it's not safe at all.
And that is the exact problem certificate pinning was born to solve. It acts like a dedicated sentinel, a guard that stands watch for that one specific moment when the normal system of trust completely breaks down.
So what is this brilliant little trick? The idea is actually incredibly simple. With certificate pinning, an app developer basically says, look, I don't care about this hundreds of trusted authorities on this phone. My app will only, and I mean only, trust this one specific certificate that I have personally approved and baked right into the app's code. It's that strict.
And this really shows you the night and day difference. Standard security, it's like a bouncer at a club who checks IDs from a big list of approved countries. If your ID looks legit and it's from one of those countries, hey, you're in. But certificate pinning, that's like a bouncer with a list of exactly one name. If you're not that specific person on the list, you are not getting in. I don't care how valid your ID looks, it's a way, way stricter policy.
Okay, so we've got the what and the why down. But how does this actually play out in the real world? Let's break down how this builds into a simple, but yet very powerful process.
The whole thing happens in a flash. First, the developer pins the server's unique digital fingerprint right inside the app. Then, when you launch the app, it reaches out to the server and says, "Show me your ID." And then, here comes the moment of truth. The app compares the ID the server just showed it to the one it has on file. Is it a perfect match? If it is, great, the connection goes through. But if it's off by even a single bit, bam! The gate slams shut. The connection is instantly rejected, and no sensitive data ever gets exchanged.
So you might be thinking, why go to all this trouble? Well, because this isn't just some abstract theory. Pinning is designed to stop some of the most common and dangerous cyber attacks that happen every single day. This is where pinning is a total game changer. Those man-in-the-middle attacks you hear about stopped cold, because a fake certificate gets rejected on the spot. What about a hacked certificate authority? Doesn't matter. Our app couldn't care less. It only trusts its one pinned certificate. That sketchy public Wi-Fi at the coffee shop, an attacker trying to spoof the network has no chance. And this all matters so much because we're talking about protecting your actual logins, your payment information, your most personal data.
Now, this all sounds amazing, like a security silver bullet, right? But with this kind of power comes a whole lot of responsibility. There's a really critical warning we need to talk about to get the full story.
So here's the catch. Server certificates, they expire. They have to be replaced or rotated on a regular schedule. Now, if your app is hard-coded, pinned to trust the old certificate, and the server suddenly gets a new one, your app will see a mismatch. And what does it do when it sees a mismatch? It rejects the connection. This means if the developers aren't super careful and don't manage this process perfectly, they could literally lock every single one of their users out of their own app. It's an incredibly powerful tool, but you have to handle it with extreme care. So after all of that, what's the one big idea you should walk away with? Well, it really just boils down to the huge difference between two very simple words. Just let that sink in for a second. Standard encryption, or TLS, is all about making sure your conversation is private, that nobody can listen in. But certificate pinning, that's about making sure you are talking to the right person in the first place. For any app handling sensitive info, that's not just a nice-to-have feature, it's absolutely crucial. So the next time you open your banking app, you can ask yourself, is it just protecting the conversation, or is it also protecting the very foundation of my trust?